Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the medium in the middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, Middlers. Welcome to episode 168. My name is Stephanie. I am the medium in the middle. And I don't know whether to classify today's episode as manifesting or intuition. So I'm going to say we're dancing around the lines of these two things. I'm going to tell you a seemingly very simple story, but it just really reinforces the idea that I'm constantly saying that nothing is too small to ignore. And if I ignored any of these small things, then I wouldn't have gotten the outcome that I wanted. But it gets the point across, and I think it's a good example to show how don't miss out on the little things. So as I was shuffling the cards for this week's card pull for the podcast, I had cards fall on the ground like twice, but there was like 6 cards that fell. I was like, oh, that's not it. And then I was shuffling, and I'm doing the same thing I do every week. What do the listeners need to know right now whenever you are listening to this podcast? And I was shuffling, and the first card again popped out. I was like, no, that's not the card. And I kept shuffling, and then I saw the card Sacred Plan, and I was like, ooh, that is the card. But too fast, my brain said no, and I kept shuffling, and I was like, oh no, like that was the card for this week's episode. So then I was going to go and look for the card, and I was like, no, just keep shuffling. Whatever comes next will be it. And then I kept shuffling, and what came next? The exact same card. So I just want you all to know, this card popped up twice for y'all. So the card is Sacred Plan, which I feel like I've pulled recently. Anyways, Sacred Plan. This card doesn't represent the plan that the universe has for your life. More, the plan that comes to fruition based on your intentions and your highest good. You have been given the incredible gift of free will, and therefore your thoughts, deeds, actions, and intentions are in some way going out into the universe and curating the experiences, opportunities, and energies that are flowing in and out of your life. When this card appears, you're being encouraged to move into a state of surrender where you recognize that yes, your intentions have an impact on the creation of your life, but how those intentions unfold is not down to you, but in the hands of the universe. The divine plan is your intentions unfolding in a way that the universe feels is for your growth and highest good. Know that every experience you have been through in your life has been a way maker on your journey towards growth and expansion. And your angels are acknowledging your growth now. Ooh. Okay, just one part of the extended message here. If you are trying to force a plan into action, the angelic guidance is to back down and trust the greater good. Often, when something isn't happening for us, we're frustrated, but it's only because we don't see that our perfect plan is unfolding. Interesting. Sacred Plan. This week's announcements are just about Reiki trainings. The next Reiki Level 1 is June 10th and 11th. If you have been waiting to take a Reiki course, May and April are sold out, but June has some space. It's about half full. There's still Reiki Level 2 at the end of May if you are one of my Reiki students waiting for a Reiki Level 2 course. And I got a good question today on Instagram about knowing how a Reiki master teacher is for you and choosing the teacher. And I said to this person, I said, try to get to know the person that you're looking to learn Reiki from as good as you can. Do you like them as a person? Do you like their personality? Do you like their teaching styles? Do you know their history of how they learned, their experience? Do they work in Reiki? Do you connect with this person? Do you jive with them? What's the vibe? Can you check out their social media? Can you check out their website? Can you see what they're producing about their course? See if that all resonates with you. And when all else fails, email them. Ask them questions. Inquire. Get to know them. Be like, hey, I didn't see your experience on your website. Could you let me know how long you've been doing Reiki? Where did you learn? What is your course about? That's a really good way to see if the teacher is right for you, and it'll save you from relearning. I have a lot of people relearn with me, and it's because they didn't do their research the first time. And it's hard because you don't know what you don't know. So if you want more information on my courses, it's all on my website. It goes module by module. If you want more information on me, there's my website, there's Instagram. You can always DM me, you can always email me any of your questions. I'm always happy to talk Reiki. And just as a reminder, I also sell recorded courses on my website. So all my popular meeting in the middles have been turned into courses. So right now, very popular is How to Manifest Money. I love every time people buy one of those and then I get a message of what they manifested. So if you get any of my courses and then you manifest something, please let me know. I always love to hear from you. So jumping into this week's episode is actually a story about a tattoo. And I originally said it was a manifestation story, but now thinking about how I'm going to explain this, I think it's more about trusting your intuition story and very small nudges that I don't want you to ignore. So I know in this case I'm talking about a tattoo, but I want you to see in your life how you can apply these little nudges. So I'm going to explain it as much as I can, again, to try to make it helpful on your end to start to kind of troubleshoot in your own life where you're ignoring these intuitive nudges. But I'm going to tell the story from the start. So this story all revolves a tattoo that I want to get. So I currently have this big pineapple on my arm, and it was originally supposed to be like 2 or 3 inches, and it turned into half my arm. So I've been wanting to add something to it so it's not just like pineapple on my arm. And I've been looking for an artist for a few years, and there's this one lady in Calgary who I really, really like, and a few of my friends have tattoos from her, and literally every time she posts something, I'm obsessed with it. Every time she shows one of her drawings on Instagram, I'm just in love. Her stories, to the point that I had to mute her on Instagram because I was just constantly, she pops up all the time and it was just getting too much. I'm like, I need to mute her. Like, I can't just keep obsessing over her tattoos. So she has a fairly long wait list, but she opens her books a few times a year. So when she went to go open them 2 times ago, so maybe a full year ago, I was like, I need to apply and just like see if she chooses me. So she opens her books for 24 hours. You email her, and then if she I think she responds like the first emails, and then she just fills her books, and then whoever else didn't get a response to their email kind of just doesn't get in. About a year ago, I was looking at the deadline, but I didn't know what I wanted at the time. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to apply this time. The next time she opened her books, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to apply. Like, I want to get a tattoo from her finally. I'm going to go when her books open again. And this was before I had muted her on Instagram. So I was like, I see her stuff literally every day. Her stories pop up. She often posts a post. So like, I literally see her whenever I wake up. She's there on my Instagram. But it just so happened that on the day of her book's opening, I didn't see anything from her. So in my mind, I was like, oh, I'll see her post. It'll remind me to email her. I'll email her tomorrow. And I remember I saw her post, but it was after midnight, and it was after when her cutoff was. And I was like, what? I was like, how did I miss that? Like, literally, it was all I was thinking about yesterday, and then I missed it today, so I didn't get on her books, and I'm not even going to try to email late, because even when you email on time, people don't get in. So I was like, ugh. So recently, and if you're a tattoo person, you know, when you decide that you want a tattoo, it's like, I need it now. So my arm has started to really bother me, and I just want it softened up. And I wanted it before the summertime because I get really tanned. I like to go out in the sun, and I don't want to be healing a tattoo while I'm out in the summer. So because I missed her cutoff, I started to say, okay, let me try to find somebody else that's similar style that could do it earlier. So I start to look around, and I find 2 other artists. And I start to look at their page, and I like it. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to reach out to these other 2 people, and I'm going to see if they would do my pineapple. Because also in tattoo world, working around someone else's work, not everyone will do that. So first I have to be like, hey, this is my idea. This is what I have already. Would you be willing to work around this? So I emailed this one person who was in Canmore, and we were setting it up, and it was from my friend's shop, and she kept being like, yeah, I can do this here. Like, send me your inspiration, blah, blah, blah. And just something felt off. Something felt wrong. My gut kept being no. Kept forgetting to write her back. She was on vacation. I was on vacation. It was just like kind of lingering. And I was just getting the feeling like she's not supposed to do it. And obviously you want to follow your gut feelings with tattoos. They're permanent on your body, but you always want to follow your gut feelings. But this is just something that I've learned to be like, okay, maybe pay attention when something's saying like, I don't think she's the one. And it wasn't in her style, and she didn't really have a lot of things that I could pull from her work for inspiration. And I was just feeling like, no, like just some hesitation. And it was my friend's shop, and me and her were talking about it, and she's like, yeah, she'd do a great job and all this stuff. And it just felt wrong. I was like, nah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this on hold, and I'm not going to force it because I just don't feel like that hell yes feeling. So then I found this other artist in Calgary who was very similar to the girl that I want to get my tattoo done. And I'll say her name after I get my tattoo. So the original woman that I want to get it done, I love literally every single thing she does. Every tattoo that she posts, I think to myself, I could see that on my body. I would put that on my arm. I would put that on my leg. So then I found someone else who is similar, very similar style, also in Calgary. They were also like weirdly similar. Like they were both of the same ethnicity. Their husband owned a shop that they work at. They both started tattooing only a few years ago. They both had like the same amount of Instagram followers. It was very like weird how similar they were, like to the point where I showed my friends and I was like, it's weird how similar these two people are. But the second woman, I didn't love everything that she put out. And I was like, it's like 50-50. So going back to two of my friends have tattoos from her, and they were always telling me how hard she is to book with. She's like impossible to get a hold of. She's really hard to email back and forth. She's really scattered. She's so busy. She needs an assistant, but she doesn't have an assistant. Like they were all kind of warning me about how hard she is to book with. And I was like, okay. But again, my intuition was like, it doesn't matter. Like this isn't going to deter you. So I emailed this other woman from Calgary, and she responds to me right away, and she's like, hey, yeah, like I'd be happy to do this for you. And her email was really nice, and it was really full of information. And my gut was just like, no, this isn't it. And I was like, why do I keep getting no every time I try to do another artist except for, we'll call her Jay, except for Jay's. I was like, why? Like every time I try to do anything else, it's like, nope, go to Jay. Nope, go to Jay. And I was like, oh, I'm getting the intuitive hit to not go to somebody else, just go to her. And then I thought, why am I trying to find someone who's so similar to Jay? Why don't I just wait for Jay? So I'm like, even though her books are closed right now, I'm just going to email her and ask her if she would be interested in adding to my pineapple. Because if she is, then I'll wait for her. I was like, I'll just wait for her because everywhere else I try to go is an intuitive no. Like I'm just feeling, nah, not the best. I'm not going to be obsessed with it. And like, I'm trying to fix a tattoo. I want to be obsessed with it. So then I decide to just email her and I say, hey, like, here's a photo of my pineapple. Would you be willing to add on to this? I know your books are currently closed, but just seeing if I should wait. I think they open again in June and then she books into October kind of thing. And I kid you not, guys, less than 24 hours, she responds to me. And I told my friends that I emailed her and they were all like, she's not going to respond to you. And then she responded to me and she said, hey, yeah, when my books open again, I'd love to add on to this. Like something like really nice. And I remember just thinking like, aha, she answered within less than 24 hours and everyone was telling me. So then I think this is when the manifestation kicks in. So before this, it was intuitive hits telling me kind of what direction to go. Like stop trying to find somebody else, just go to Jay. Then I think once she said yes, the manifestation came in. So this is where the magic happens. She posts that she's going to the Edmonton Tattoo Convention. And it was in April. And I was like, my whole hookup with when her books open in June is that I don't want to get a tattoo in the summertime. And then I don't want to wait till her books open again. Usually she opens them in the fall sometime because I might be going to Australia and I don't want to get a tattoo again right before I'm going into another summertime. So I was kind of like, I don't want to wait a whole year for this, but for the next 2 times her books open, I can't go in. So she made a post that she's going to the Edmonton Tattoo Convention, and I live in Banff, so Edmonton is about 4 hours away, and Calgary, where she works out of, is about an hour and a half away. And her post said she's going to the Edmonton Tattoo Convention, email her to get in and all of her requirements of how to book. So then again, a few days go by and I see the post again somehow on my feed. And then I was like, and I was thinking about it. I was like, should I go to Edmonton to get a tattoo in April? Like I could drive. And then I saw the dates and I was like, oh, it's the Banff Wellness Retreat weekend. I was like, I present until 8 p.m. So I'd have to drive up Sunday and, it's 4 hours away. So even if I left at 8 a.m., I'd get there at noon, I'd get my tattoo and then I'd have to drive home. And I was just like, I don't think this is going to work. I was just thinking all of this in my head. And then I was talking to my friends and I was like, she's going to Edmonton. Like, should I go to Edmonton to get this tattoo? Yada, yada, yada. And it was just kept being top of mind. And my friend also got her tattoo at a convention and she was like, yeah, you should do it. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, the post is from a week ago. And she was like, what? She's like, oh, when I got my tattoo from her at a convention, I was one of the last spots and she had only posted it 7 minutes ago. She's like, so it's probably full. And I was like, oh. So I just decided to message. Again, another intuitive hit. Messenger. So I messaged her and I said, hey, I told her I'm coming from Banff. I would have to work Saturday night, but I could drive up Sunday morning before I do the whole application process. Do you have anything on Sunday? Because that's the only day that I could come. And again, she emailed me back right away and she said, hey, yeah, Sunday is still available. And I was like, no freaking way. So finally, I'm like, okay, this is the sign. I'm going to properly put in my application and I'm going to go look at the Banff Wellness Retreat to see when do I actually present and when can I actually go. So it turns out that there's 2 weekends back to back of the retreat. Weekend number 1, I presented until 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night, which meant I'm there till 8-ish. So I was like, I'm not going to drive 4 hours after presenting till 8 p.m. Weekend number 2, I finished Saturday at 4. Which means I could drive to Edmonton and get to Edmonton around, 9 p.m., wake up, get a tattoo, and then drive home Sunday night. So I was like, oh my gosh, this works out perfectly. So I said, hey, I still would like an early Sunday appointment if I can so I could get back on the road. So I did my whole application. I sent her a video of my arm and I told her what I wanted and I didn't hear from her. And I was just like, oh, I had so many intuitive hits, but I haven't heard from her. I was holding the line. I was like, I know I'm going to get it. I was like, I'm manifesting this now. So I feel, again, this is where the manifesting came in, where I knew at this point that I was going to Edmonton to get the tattoo. I knew she was going to accept me, but I had to hold that vision. So I literally talked as if I was going to Edmonton. I put it in my calendar. I blocked off the day. I started to rearrange the appointments that I already had booked. Another sign from the universe that I knew I was going was on the Sunday I had originally had open for virtual appointments to book. So I would be working the Banff Wellness Retreat Friday, Saturday. Sunday I was open for virtual appointments and the day was fully booked. But then I had a last minute opening come up and someone from that day, that Sunday, said, hey, can I take that appointment tomorrow instead of having it in a month from now? And that's when I knew the universe was going to deliver because I was like, yes. So I moved their appointment from that Sunday to closer up. But I was like, now I have less appointments to reschedule. And I know this is the universe telling me I'm going to get it. So then weeks go by and she hadn't answered anyone from the Edmonton Tattoo Convention. So I started to comment on her stuff. And other people started to comment on her stuff being like, have you answered anybody about Edmonton? And then one night it was 11 p.m. She emailed me back and she's like, hey, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can do it Sunday. Just send me a $50 deposit to get it done. And I was like, the heavens have opened. I got the appointment. We're going. And then I rallied a few friends and we all happened to work till about 5 o'clock on Saturday. And then we're going to road trip Saturday night, go to the event on Sunday. But it just all worked out. But I want to say, this wouldn't have worked out if I ignored any of those very small intuitive nudges. So I know in hindsight I can tell this story I had a bad feeling with the person in Canmore. I had a bad feeling with going with someone else in Calgary. I didn't want to wait till June. I didn't want to wait till October. This wasn't really going to work out. Oh, my schedule is not working. All of those little nudges could have been ignored. But with me paying attention to every little sign And it wasn't until that person moved their appointment from Sunday that I knew the universe was going to deliver. That's when the manifesting kicked in. I was like, oh, she's moving her appointment from that Sunday. The universe is taking appointments away from that Sunday, which means I'm going to be off because I'm going to be in Edmonton. So it's just a really good example of how so many little things add up, so many little nudges, knowings, even just like the first email, just reaching out, just following through, just seeing if she had anything available. Even though it was a week later, still sending the email, just doing all those tiny little things, which in hindsight seem like nothing. But now I'm going to get exactly what I wanted when I wanted it because I listened to my intuition and then I also played with the universe and manifested this happening. So I wanted to bring this example to you because I find I won't email her. Oh, I'll just go with this other lady. It's fine that I'm not 100% on it. I'm not feeling it, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's not a hell yes, but it's fine. No. We're not settling for any of that. And if you ignore your intuition, it won't line up for you like this. It won't open up for you like this. So I talk about this a lot in my mentorship, but I'm good at putting the pieces of the puzzle together in hindsight. But what I've gotten really good at and what I help other people realize is when you get each piece of the puzzle, realizing it's a piece of the puzzle that's going to come later. So when the first woman in Canmore didn't, I was having an off feeling. I was like, this is a piece of the puzzle. When the lady in Calgary was close to her style, but not the same, piece of the puzzle. When the post was up, piece of the puzzle. When the email and she got back to me 24 hours, piece of the puzzle. And I could have ignored any and all of those little pieces of the puzzle, but now, full circle, the picture makes sense. The puzzle makes sense because I have all the pieces. What happens is we get pieces of the puzzle and we ignore them, or we don't know what they are, or we don't take the time to be like, this is going to fit for me somewhere. This is going to make sense in the future. This is going to be something I need. Put it in my pocket. We ignore those things. So I'm here to tell you not to ignore any little piece of the puzzle. Even if it doesn't make sense now, collect it, put it in your pocket, because once I have all those pieces of the puzzle, it's like, hey, the universe really wants me to go to Edmonton. Before that, it was like, oh, everything's in my way. So take that back to your life and start to see what puzzle pieces are dripping to you. Drip, 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 until you start to see the picture. Oh, until you get the whole puzzle. And everything makes sense. That is this week's episode. I am going this weekend to Edmonton after the Banff Wellness Retreat. And the Banff Wellness Retreat weekend number 1 was amazing. I have a podcast episode for you about mediumship coming up. Lots of reflection. Weekend number 2 is coming up. I'm sure I'll have more stories to tell. But pay attention to the puzzle pieces in your life right now that are linking to something in the future for you. Follow along on Instagram if you want more content of my day-to-day at Medium in the Middle. Reminder, that's my only account and I will never DM you. There's a lot of scammers, so beware. All my bookings are done on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. I will never DM you for money or for a reading. If you haven't already, please leave a rating for this podcast, 5 stars, and a review. It really helps the podcast grow. Thank you so much. If you want to book an appointment with me or book any of the Reiki trainings that I talked about earlier, I will leave all those linked down below in the show notes, but everything is on my website, themediuminthemiddle.com. But until next Wednesday, Middlers, when I see you in your ears, I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye, everybody.